All right, I think we are underway here. For the, I don't even have the right page in my book here, 15th. We don't have any interviews tonight. Betty Bayer of Betty's Books. You know, they're moving to Crossroads. Crossroads has a vacancy. She's applied for the vacancy. She just recently interviewed with us to go on BDC and we appointed her to BDC. Typically, we have one district representative on BDC that would solve that problem for us. The question is, would you like to appoint her, or do we want her to come back and interview again?
So she'll be on both.
She'll be on both. And typically, we have one member of the BDC from each of the business district commissions.
As long as we don't have a policy against it, I think.
No, we actually encourage it.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
And we don't have any other applicants either, right? Yeah, okay, so
Great.
we'll go ahead and make that appointment tonight. Katie, that's good. And
Yes,
then
thank you
I
very much.
believe Carrie Coyne I know Carrie Coyne has resigned from Green Space, so we'll have to start looking for another member of Green Space. It seems to be a pretty popular commission, so hopefully we'll fill that pretty quickly. Is there anything anyone would like to review on the regular agenda? We're gonna have some fun with lots of proclamations, that's for sure. Okay, well then we will move on to mayor and council and everybody else updates. How about Emerson, if we start with you this time?
No updates, Mayor.
Well, that was simple.
Yes.
David?
No updates from me, Madam Mayor.
Planning Commission met and voted to move the comprehensive plan forward to council. So that was a big meeting. And then I had a question on two things. One, on the pocket prairies, do we have any updates on the timing for that, when people need to let you know by if they're gonna kind of adopt the lot, and when the next kind of application would be?
We do have some updates. Dr. Davis is prepared to speak to that, which if now's the best time we can, we're gonna.
Sometime this evening would be great, yeah.
Forward of it. We're gonna put some of that notification out on socials this week, and we're gonna include it in the Friday page as well. So it'll be out there.
Well, and we may have a few changes to the application as well. We don't know yet. Yeah.
So yes, there's some different moving pieces for the overall pocket prairies, how we're gonna have the final contracts, maintenance of islands. So there's not a one approach for all. And I think that's important for people to understand, because not all the islands and pocket prairies are the same. So there's some differences. Yeah,
Thank you.
Sounds good. And then on the front facing garages, just a procedural question, when is the opportunity for public input on that? Is that when it's not a public hearing, right? It's just an ordinance. So
It's
it would just be
ordinance
regular
change.
public comment
Yes.
at a regular city council meeting.
Regular public comment, regular city council meeting, and any other form of comment they'd like to make,
Letter,
email,
comment,
whatever,
yeah.
yeah, that
Okay.
way as well.
And then we would vote for it. Do we do first and second readings tonight, or is that next meeting?
We are not doing first and second tonight. We have tentatively scheduled them for the August, what is that?
So there's some time. There are a couple
17th
meetings.
meeting, I think it is,
That would be 19,
19.
because we're out the 5th, right?
Yeah,
So 5, 12. and
thank you.
15.
You do math better than I do, clearly. So that was the
Maybe
tentative
19 would be-
schedule. So we'll do, yeah, that would be first and second reading. And then we would have a third reading. So they have opportunities at both that August meeting and September meeting, assuming that we keep that schedule the same. And I don't know, Dr. Peoples, if you have any reason to think we wouldn't, I don't.
I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
And are we floating it by any of the commissions that are kind of impacted, ARB, Board of Adjustments, HBC, anything like that?
We had not intended on doing that. So this is a council request. So we had not intended on doing that. If we do that, we will not meet the timelines of the August 19th. I'm not opposed to it, but that was not part of the
No, I was just
direction. or
Curious,
process.
I feel like those bodies would be interested to know what's going on, even if they don't need to vote to move it forward.
We can certainly
Could
send
be a
them.
liaison thing too.
Yeah, and I
kind of
think that
absolutely.
really is a liaison
Yeah.
thing, is that we, and I failed to tell HPC in my substituting for you, but you're right, that should be a liaison to let people know and what the schedule is for, taking a look at it. But I think given that we're off, most, boards and commissions will meet. And certainly, if any council member would like to send an email to the commission attaching that, we can attach the PowerPoint that we received. I think that'd be pretty easy,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
That would be great. I might ask you for just, because I think the PowerPoint I have is all in like meeting agenda and slides, so I might just ask you for separate.
Okay.
It's fine.
Oh, geez.
Karen?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Marie?
Only the back to school barbecue, and were you gonna?
Either way, why don't you just go ahead since it's up now?
Sure. So the school district's annual back to school barbecue, I believe for the last couple of years, council has had a table. So we're gonna send the dates around and probably ask Katie to assist with that to see if council's interested in staffing a table. Perhaps not a singular table. This year we're gonna have a combined table with police and fire, and SS4A is gonna have a table as well. So if council can share a table, or if you want your own, we can do that too. So it was really just getting some information.
Sharing it.
I'm gonna suggest sharing, because often what happens is we get doing conversations with other people and then there's no one at the table.
Yeah.
So
Where you get it,
Ivor Crockett.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So it's scheduled for September 6th, just in case you wanted to, and we will send out, talk to Katie and we can send out the message.
It's crazy, it's in September.
It's not there, we're not there yet, but we've got a plan. Neil, anything from you?
No, ma'am, no updates.
Katie? Okay, I'm gonna go down the list. I did get a thank you note to all of the council from Webster Arts for us staffing the beverage booth at the arts fair. So I wanted to make sure you knew that they were grateful about that. We did the barbecue. Chamber of Commerce picnic is on the 24th of this month, 11:30 to 1 at Weiner. I never know how to say the name of that park in Shrewsbury. So it's free, but they'd like for us to RSVP if we intend to go, just so they can have a good count. I will by Thursday have all the board and commission letters about their budgets finished, and they'll be in a file that you all can access. So I'll send an email with a link to that file if you would like to review them. You can review any you want, but especially remember that the ones where your liaison are signed by you and me, you don't have to physically sign them, but your name's on there. So you might like to see what it has to say and make changes if you feel are necessary. Traffic Advisory and TrailNet last Wednesday had an educational event about safe streets, about what Traffic Advisory Commission does, that was very well attended. And so that's in a very excited commission. They're looking forward to doing another educational event like that in the upcoming fiscal year. Well, I guess we're in that fiscal year now. And then HPC, I stood in for Karen for historic preservation. There was one garage demolition that was approved, and Neil spent a little bit of time discussing with them what their role is relative to ARB, relative to Plan Commission. I think
It's the meeting with Neil.
you did. I'm so sorry.
And I didn't know you were gonna be here, I would have called.
He did look really disappointed to see me.
Wasn't that at all, I was disappointed not to see her.
So, but that was, Neil, I thought that was a really good discussion, and especially for some of the members who either are also on ARB or sat on ARB before, to figure out kind of what goes in their lane and what goes in the other lane. So thank you for that.
Yes, and thank you. And I thought that what it demonstrated is that they were very well intended, that they were trying to do their very best. And these are, as you pointed out, these are volunteers who are giving their time to the city. We just have to keep them in their lanes. So.
Can I ask about the document production from Brentwood?
Oh, that is something that I have not yet done. So how about this? I know, how about if I throw out this week a couple of dates during our recess where we will sit here as a group and start to go through that and see if we can make some sense of it. Is that all right?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the reminder that that's totally on me dropping the ball. One last thing that I forgot, please keep in mind that yes, Plan Commission plan as adopted or recommended the comprehensive plan. You all have a copy of it. Dr. Peoples, I'm going to continue to remind you, August 8th, we need everyone's comments by August 8th. We then, on that, our meeting in August, will begin to have our council discussion, because one of the things we want to make sure we do is that anything that goes to a POTA group, we've talked about as a group, as opposed to sending them one-off things from individual members. So if you don't have on your calendar August 8th to review and submit comments, please do make sure you put that on there.
Mayor, if I may, the
Please.
next steps after that, so Elliot and I will work to combine council comments that we received by August 8th. And then we have a couple of meetings scheduled with Lakota. We will share those combined comments with the Lakota group so they can be prepared to speak to them at the council meeting. So it really is important to meet that on August 8th, so everybody has time. And of course, council can take as long as desired with the discussions, but we really only have one shot at Lakota presenting to council, so.
And then the comments from plan that are coming to us, will we have those in time to see those before the August 8th?
So all of those comments are already gathered because they were presented to plan commission. So yes, I can ask Katie just to send those out to council.
They were gonna come to
Start
council with these were in and these were out kind of marks on them.
To a degree, it's not going to be more of a formatted document than plan commission received before. I've met with Lakota a couple times and with Elliot, and he's here. I think.
He's right behind you. You
Person
can't see him.
Hiding, good place to be. So please feel free if I say anything incorrect, but what I really got from Lakota is that it's going to be very difficult for all of those comments to respond to how they had been adjudicated was the word that was used, because a lot of it was perspectives and opinions, not clear cut. This is wrong. Here's a typo. There's an error. It was really commenting on all of the opinions. So I think for me, that's where council gets into the next discussion. Are they things that council wants to discuss and to see an actual change?
I just think we need to know if there were things that were already adopted. And if there are things that were not, and I don't think it needs to be lengthy, this is why it wasn't, it's not, I just think it needs to be not
Well,
included.
how about this?
So we
Why
don't have to like read.
Well, why don't we get that document? If Katie and Marie can work together and get us the document from Plan Commission.
Sure.
That does that, so that we can all go ahead and read that as we go through, or we read it and we go through our comments. Because there was, it's not as if nothing, there's some on there about what was included
Yeah.
and not
No, they're
included,
there.
yeah.
So I have understanding, so our response is necessarily looking at punctuation marks and way things read, or we're looking at the pillars and the information under those pillars.
Well, it can be either. So for example, in my reading of it, there's a particular map that there's one of two things happening. Either I just don't understand the legend, or there are a couple errors on the map. So that'll be on my list. But then also I have some substantive questions about, should something about multifamily be in this section or not?
Mhm.
So it can be either. I don't really consider our job to be the editors, like the
That's where I
editors
focus,
of
yeah.
this report, and we're really concerned about the policy, I would say, more than anything else. So yeah, so you can send either way, but
I actually reviewed the pillars based on the comments in those sections and
Yeah.
make sure everything was
Yeah.
right. Or any items in the document, maybe a clear description or a little bit more information about specific parts of the plan to give a more understanding to whoever reading it.
yeah, that's fine. And we'll have, again, the schedule that we have, Marie is absolutely correct. We want to make sure we make the best use of our time for the Dakota, because if we need them to come back, we got to pay them more money. And that's bottom line. So the better organized we can be and the best we can make use of the time is good for all of us. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Of course, I forgot we were on recess, so I want to make sure I share that there's going to be an after hours gathering on August 14th with the BDC and the chamber. And that it says here it's at Perennial.
Yes.
And I also want to remember that, or remind everybody that the 19th is Saturday, is the Foodie Bikes and Bites Tour with the Green Dining Alliance. And there's a like trail net, they've worked with the Earth Day 365, gonna be tooting around town. It's a big bike posse to go to all of our green dining, many of our green dining restaurants for a little nosh, and then a happy hour ending at Robust. And it is Green Dining Week, and if you happen to go to a restaurant that is GDA certified, please thank them. 'Cause this is a big, exciting designation for Webster.
And we will do that proclamation
Yeah.
at our regular meeting. All right, you are at the edge of your seat, so it's time for us to talk about electric vehicles. Yeah, do you wanna, that is, Karen, do you mind if he sits, that is for you, I believe, that file thing. Thank you. Do you want me to put that down here?
Let's set up here, there we go. So, just first an overview that the format's gonna be fairly similar to what we did with the front facing garages. Obviously, the topic is different, but, talk about rationale for the discussion, overview of national trends, criterion that you would consider in establishing revised code for electric vehicle charging, parking, the challenges therein, steps to consider as far as permitting and zoning, and some examples in other communities, and then finally possible next steps the council might take. This is, again, not making any recommendations tonight, and not saying pro or con, just talking about what the issues are with establishing policy.
Elliot, can I just ask, is this specifically like commercial EV stations, or is this residential, or is this both?
This is both, and it's a very high, like 35,000 foot view. So while it does address both, it doesn't get too far into the details. If you all want to make directing it and which way to go in that, that's when we'll get into the weeds. All right, so next slide. So first of all, some of the reasons for looking at this, our code that deals with electric vehicles is from 2014. And, in 11 years, the technology and the issues have ramped up considerably. There's also goal of improving environmental sustainability that the city has established, and that's referenced in several places in the comprehensive plan that you're going to be looking at next month. And finally, fire safety for EV charging, particularly in home EV chargers, and I'll get into that a little bit later, is an ongoing concern. Next slide. So just a little overview of some of the larger trends. Despite the fact that sales of electric vehicles have slowed down this year a little bit, annually over 1 million electric vehicles are sold in this country, and that's out of, I think, 16-20 million cars altogether. The EV charging stations are not universally located yet, as gas stations are. You see gas stations every 10 blocks, but EV charging stations are they're not there yet. They take longer to charge a vehicle than it does to fill a tank of gas, obviously. There's level 1 through level 3 chargers. Level 1 takes 8 to 12 hours. And right now, a level 3 fast charger takes 30 minutes. They have different fire safety challenges than gasoline powered vehicles. And again, I'll get into that. And then while there have been steps taken over the last 10 years to try and have a single charging port and standardization, there's still differences, and the most substantial is that Tesla uses its own
as I know, the North American Charging Standard, which is not the same as most other vehicles, so there's still. It's still not, you go to anywhere, put the thing in the tank and go. And so, you know, these are issues that you will have to wrestle with. Next slide. So just a partial list of some of the things in addition to be looking at where existing chargers are at the moment. The issue of environmental justice, and that gets back into you know, EV chargers versus gasoline powered vehicles and exhaust and brownfields and that sort of thing. Building typology, and by what I mean by that, there are neighborhoods where there are what they call parking orphans, where there are residences with limited to no off-street parking or garages for private EV installation. So, you know, in neighborhoods like that, it becomes a question of, you know, well, where would it go and how would it be set up? Will EV charging stations create competition for transit? This is actually something I learned as I was doing research for this. You know, people might use that instead of taking bus or train as a environmental alternative. Then is there opportunities to use private EV charging for major employers to complement public installations as a inducement to recruiting, bring more jobs in. And then on the same lines, using EV charging to promote economic development. Next slide. So now we get into some of the challenges, and this is where we're going to talk a little in some detail about the fire, but I'll get to that in a moment. Reliability. So as I know, in some places, as much as 1 in 5 charging ports don't work. And, you know, that's a problem when you can go to any gas station anywhere and be 99% sure that you're gonna be able to fill up. 1 in 5 is a huge differential. Charging spaces used as parking by IC vehicles, internal combustion. Someone decides, I'm just gonna park here and the heck with you. In Berkeley, they had a couple charging stations built, and that was the problem. On a regular basis, people would come, especially on court days, just park their car right at the charging station and back with everyone else. Price confusion, when they started with charging stations, they used to all be free. That has now changed, but there is not a standard as to what is free, what isn't, and where and how much. Equity questions, as with so many other things, like grocery stores, there's, you know, the issue of instead of food deserts, you have charging deserts. And, you know, if you are direct us to move forward with this, I've got some maps to show the difference between, in the St. Louis area, the EV charging coverage versus gas station coverage. And the difference is dramatic, night and day. And then we get into fire safety. Lithium-ion batteries burn at high temperatures and are a challenge to put out. And this is something that the Fire Chief Ellis talked with me about as related to another issue. They take longer than traditional fires to put out, and they can reignite. So you have to really pump a lot of stuff on it to get it out and to keep it out. And because they're lithium ion, they're not wood and very traditional materials. They can release a bunch of hazardous chemicals when they burn. So then we get into the siting challenges for that. Adequate fire suppression systems, structural limitations, because of the heat that they put out. EV fires can weaken traditional structures, and ventilation, vehicle spacing, proximity to other structures, and limited access points. And this gets into the ability for people to get out. And this is one of the things that the Chief Ellis was emphasized to me. is that, you know, when you have a charging station in the garage, if there's this much room between the car and the wall and the thing catches fire, that's an issue that they've run into. Next slide. So, talk a little bit about what's happening in other communities, and these are not what they're looking at doing, this is what they have done. These are in place. So, St. Louis County mandates charging stations and what they call EV ready spaces for new construction and remodeling at new buildings period, and for projects with more than 30 parking spaces. They have minimum standards that you have to fit. Brentwood is regulating charging equipment, you know, permitting, installation location, that sort of thing. Richmond Heights is doing much the same. Creve Coeur is doing a similar thing, but they're looking at it at this as far as zoning. Mending location, type and use requirements for EV and EV charging stations. And then the city of St. Louis, again, regulating use, location, and standards of EV charging stations and charging structures. And just one note, Brentwood and Richmond Heights are using the 2018 code, ours was at 2014. And I think the city is at 2021. So that's another thing to consider. You know, what standard do we want to, because we're at 2014 right now. Next slide. So, possible next steps for the council to consider. First is considering EV and EV charging station specific regulation. You know, just being really specific to this is what we want them to be, which is where we want them to set up on a lot. So getting down to that granular level. Number two is consider amending the zoning code for EV charging stations. So instead of getting into the details, saying in these districts, we want them here or not, and you know, what size of a building, what size of a lot. Considering approving a more recent edition of the National Electrical Code. Now as staff, we're looking at updating the building code altogether to 2021. Is that something you want to look at ahead of time, ahead of that with this code or not? And finally, incorporating EV regulations in a larger comprehensive zoning update. So taking it all in one huge basket instead of doing bits and pieces. Next slide. And that's my presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, questions?
I'll go backwards. So incorporate the EV regulations in one comprehensive zoning update. So what kind of time frame would that entail? Comprehensive zoning update.
A zoning update, it takes about the same kind of time as a comp plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's about a year and a half.
So the county doesn't require consistent use of the current code. So you were saying like Brentwood and Richmond Heights, I think, uses codes from 1 year and somebody else uses codes from another year.
Yeah, if every municipality, especially the first class and charter cities, do their own thing.
Our history, I think, Karen, has been once county adopts something, then we a year or two later adopt it. The county hasn't done anything in how long? I don't.
It's been a while. They're looking to update as well. And that most municipalities end up doing what the mayor just suggested.
Is county looking at 21 or 24?
I think they're looking at 21. I think the city is looking at 24.
Is there a reason why we are not looking at 24 as well?
That's a significant jump.
Yeah.
We haven't even started yet, so it may come to that. We may look at it and go, yeah, with 24 is,
Yeah.
but contractors, I mean, they're gonna the jump a little bit at 21, but that's been in place for 4 years.
Mhm.
So they've had some time to work with it. 24 is pushing a lot, but we're not locked into anything at this point.
So the 24 is far more restricted.
Potentially, and it has a lot more of the latest and greatest changes. And I don't know what all those are, but anything that's come up in the last couple of years is going to be in there. And that's something that contractors and developers and builders may not have had time to come get up to speed with yet.
It's including things like energy efficiency, right, and EV ready, and basically building in a way that addresses the climate crisis that we're in, and efficiency and reducing the amount of carbon and other greenhouse
Yeah.
gases released.
Yeah, and I don't know that 2021 doesn't do that,
Okay,
but certainly it's going to be a lot more reflective of those issues than 2021 might have been.
So the code will include this guidelines, codes for homes and for businesses.
It can.
Should it?
That's
Going back to your comment about safety and fire. I mean, I just wonder how many people really go buy a electric vehicle, then go bring it home and say, well, I'm going to charge this bad boy. And they just get something, I know Enphase, they'll sell it to you $1,500 until you can put it in there. So
I would say if you go with whichever way you go, there's going to be different regulations for residential versus commercial for that very reason.
it's for safety.
Because if I buy an EV and put it in the garage, there's a whole, as I noted, there's a number of different concerns that if my company has 4 EV chargers in our parking lot.
So a homeowner or business, before they install it, they must pull a permit to do that. That is now. But
Yes.
they should.
Mhm.
Okay. And they go through inspections with our departments and Ameren.
I don't know if Ameren's involved, but we are definitely,
And what? No, what?
Ameren's not in.
they don't inspect. But if you install a service, that's when Ameren gets involved. But when you install power to a parcel, whether it's a house or a business, that's when Ameren gets involved. But for just installing equipment in the building, that's not their purview.
So if you're selling it or providing it to others, just trying to understand myself, Ameren, would they then get involved?
That I don't know. And then,
Can you say the distinction between the two again, please?
oh, yeah, so when I say pull service, so if you're building a building on a piece of dirt, so you have a dirt, there's nothing there, and you want power to the project, whether it's a business or whatever, or a house, that's when Ameren gets involved because you're connecting to their power. But when you're putting, like, rewiring the inside of a house, that's on us, that's our inspection. That's not Ameren's.
So
If you went fast charging, tier 3, Ameren will have to be involved
Okay.
And nobody has that in their home.
because that requires direct current.
Yeah, so
I mean, very quickly, what's the difference if I install solar panels and a charger? I mean, if I had a EV charger, could that be done by solar?
that I don't know, but I will also tell you that solar also has issues with fire because solar panels are always charged. It's not so much fire as they're live.
Right.
So
And when I install my solar panels, they put my electrical box inside next to my box. And Ameren came out and said, nope, take it out and put it all on the outside. Just because so they can get to it when it was time. It needed to be. So that's, I mean, I'm just wondering if that's something that needs to be considered. What part Ameren have to play in that?
Well, when I had our charger put in, it's inside our garage and Ameren didn't have anything.
Did Ameren know you was doing it?
No, the city did, and that I left to the electrician to.
The
manage
fundamental difference is with solar, what you're asking to do is contribute something to the grid, right? Or get some, at least credit for that. So that directly interacts with Ameren. Once the electricity comes to the wire, whether it goes to my refrigerator or my car, Ameren doesn't care.
There may be, and this is something that we want to consider potentially in light of what you're saying, some difference, because one of the things that the changes and upgrades in technology since 2014 is something called let me find it, V2G, vehicle to grid technology, where when you're charging the car, it can power, like excess power can flow back into the grid. And that would be an Ameren consideration.
Yeah.
So, and that was something that didn't exist in 2014.
I'm gonna ask you if we step back just a little bit, because this is the kind of discussion that we would have about the specifics of whatever policy we might ask you to consider for us. Karen, could you go back one slide for us? Because I think what we're being asked right now, I guess, is the more general question, which is, do we want to pursue some sort of EV regulation at all first? And if we want to do that, there are several different avenues we can take to do that. It sounds to me like we have, at a minimum, safety reasons to at least consider some regulation.
If it's gonna be part of a larger comprehensive plan, you know, that you're gonna submit, I say, yeah, put it in there. So it can be reviewed at the same time. I wouldn't want to piecemeal it together. If they're gonna take you with you 12, 18 months, 2 years maybe to get everything together.
So, but I think what we're saying, if that's the road to go down, I mean, that last one into the comprehensive zoning update. So that may be frankly longer. It depends on how we choose to implement the comprehensive plan, which I think is a lot of conversation that we're gonna have come the fall about whether we do this. Do we ask for some outside help in doing that? Do we cut it up into pieces? And obviously Dr. Peoples and Ellie are gonna have a lot of recommendations for us about how we do that. So I don't have any problem with that, but remember, when we're talking about that, we haven't thought about what that looks like yet. So if this is something you're anxious about doing soon, then that maybe isn't the best option. But I like personally, I like the comprehensive nature of
I
it.
do too. I wouldn't really want to piecemeal it.
And that wasn't necessarily the intent, apologies. Some of this is maybe a happy accident, coincidence, whatever we want to term it. We have a list of codes over the last 2 years that council was interested in revisiting. This EV charging was on that list over the last couple of years. So now that Elliot's here, got his feet on the ground, this was one that has come back. And it happens to be timed now with the comprehensive plan coming to council. So I think it's back to, I think, how the mayor was explaining it. It could be taken as an overall code adoption or singularly, and we weren't really necessarily pushing it to be discussed with comprehensive plan. We were just trying to clear the backlog of codes and to be responsive to several of those things. So I think it works well in the overall conversation, but that's why EV particularly was pulled out along with some of the others like front-facing garages.
Why? I guess I'm a little confused. What would be the purpose of doing a zoning code for EV? Like, are we saying, no, someone's gonna build an EV charging station somewhere, and we wanna make sure that it's compatible with Webster Groves?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the issues therein, and is it something of a benefit?
If I today wanted to build a charging station for public use, what would be the process that I would go through, Webster?
For public use,
Yeah.
no, you would need to pull a permit and, I think it would
It would be effectively like a gas station, right? Like it would be the same.
yeah, but I mean, are we talking on a private property for public
Yeah.
use? So like, we use a gas station example. So yeah, you would be pulling permits and
So
Doing a
we're
site
concerned potentially that, I mean, I guess I don't see, I mean, why don't we just incorporate EV charging stations into our current code and just incorporate them as gas stations? Like if a gas station can go there, why can't an EV charging station go there? In other words, I think we're thinking like this is making it more complicated than it really is. Just add EV charging stations to the list of permitted uses where gas stations are and call it a day.
But I think the issue is more complicated than that, because we're talking about safety regulations for equipment as well as, some of the cities around town are requiring, if you have a certain size development, that you include EV as a part of your development plan. So on the one hand, I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't think what you're saying you couldn't do. If a gas station in Webster decided they wanted to get rid of all their air pressure things and put in EV charging, they could do that, right? So this really is about safety regulation as well as, do we want any requirements within the city to make sure that we have chargers that are, we don't have charging deserts or whatever the phrase, well, I think that's the phrase you used.
And I understand, and I appreciate that, Madam Mayor. I think that there, like two separate issues there effectively, like whether they should be even permitted and safety regulations of them. But what additional safety regulations would one need for an EV charging station that you wouldn't need, for instance, say like for a gas station?
well, and I mean, I don't have all the
Yeah,
details
no,
on that. I mean, I was looking at more in terms of the more pressing concerns for residential, like inside a garage.
Okay, that makes more sense. So like
Yeah.
we're more concerned. Okay, so take out the business side of it for a minute and just think about residential. Should we have a concern about how we should permit personal EV charging stations?
Mhm.
And I think I would like to see residential EV ready, at least with renovations and for new builds. I would like to see that sooner rather than a year and a half from now. Because that is something that is very readily available, different types of language that we could put together to address that sooner rather than later, because I feel like it's really important.
Yeah, so would you elaborate on what you mean by EV ready? I think I know, but I want to make sure I'm on the same page.
So when we retrofitted our garage and we had to add a couple of components that turned out to be about, $1,200 to $1,500. If the construction, we all know, like if you're doing a job and it will be less in the long run, if you just add that element to the garage, because that is where things are going, because eventually ICE cars internal combustion engine cars will no longer exist. Eventually they will phase out. So we're helping people saving them money down the line by saying, if you're going to build this garage, then if you add this element to it, you might not need it right this second, but it is ready to go when you get your EV.
And this is not as a requirement to include that. Is that
Yes.
what, yeah, okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure, because
Yes.
that word hasn't been used
Yeah,
yet.
sorry,
so,
yeah.
And if I could just add a note to that, in Richmond Heights and in St. Louis City, that is the requirement for all new construction and major renovations. By major meaning over 50%. They have to have some provision of EV ready parking spaces.
And garage.
Can I throw out, though, that brings back the contextual problem? Because I did the same thing with my garage when I put my garage here. We put it all in. My garage would be one of those garages where it'd be hard to get out of the car if you had two cars in there and there was a fire. So even though it, obviously it's built to standard and we wired it for it, we'd have to be careful and think about that. If we're requiring it, we'd have to think about the larger code. You couldn't just implement that part of it, because people would then say, you required me to do this, I've put it in, now I want to use it, and you're not letting me because you're now imposing additional requirements. So I think you have to have all of it in place to have some of it in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what other requirements?
Well, I think you'd have to deal with the safety requirements in terms of size and that sort of thing, and
Okay.
where you're hooking up and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that those are again, whatever safety requirements you would put in a smaller building, you'd have to do that if you were requiring that up front. You'd have to really do the whole code. And it is addressed in the 21 code, and it is addressed in the 24 code.
Okay.
As the fire safety
Yes, sir.
part of that code.
Okay,
Can I?
Yeah, please.
I think doing the new or the new build and major renovations makes a lot of sense. I dislike the idea of us imposing additional regulations on current homeowners or current houses merely because they want to add an EV charging station. I have a problem with that. Like, I think it makes sense that we have specific regulation going forward, but to backpedal and say for any currently constructed house, if you're gonna add an EV charging station merely because your garage is not X big enough, we're not gonna do it. Or we're not gonna permit it.
But wouldn't that be a safety
Yeah.
thing though? I mean, so because you didn't have it in there previously, you would be held to the standard of what's currently considered safe. That may not have been an issue before. So, I mean, I get that you already have the garage, but now that you want to do something different, it stands to reason that you should have to adhere to the current standard.
It's just like anything else. Put in a new plumbing in your home, well, if you.
You gotta use the current plumbing code.
okay, so I'm gonna say we're back in the weeds here.
No, I just want to make sure.
But it's good because people are interested in this issue, but I don't think that's what we need to decide tonight.
No.
And
It's just that I am concerned about the safety part of the code for individuals.
How many EV fires have we had in Webster Groves?
That I do not know. I will find out.
I don't know the answer to that, but I know that we've had a couple that were significant. Now is like,
including, I think, one at least with real home damage.
yeah,
And we had a lithium fire one too.
we did.
That was that one on Cornell. A lithium
So I'm
battery.
sure the fire chief would be happy to answer more of those questions. That also begs the question, do we change policy and code for what's the threshold?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my final comment, yes, I like the direction that you're going, looking at safety and all the parts, the residential and commercial.
Okay, so that gets us back to the question I think that is remaining is it's pretty clear to me that people want to move forward. The question is, do we ask Elliot to do this as an individual standalone proposal, or do we want to wait and incorporate it somehow in the larger changes that we make as a result of the comprehensive plan?
That is the question.
I would like to see, sorry, I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do it on its own. You can get it done.
Okay, so let's just poll on that one on its own.
Yes. That piece, the EV ready for
Yeah.
residential and,
For the whole, like.
The whole
EV
safety
in
part of
general.
it, everything.
Yeah.
When you say EV ready, tell me what you meant again about that. It was new construction?
Yeah.
And if I want to put one in my current garage that I don't have,
even if you don't have an EV yet.
So EV ready just means new builds have to have it. I am building a garage for the first time. It would have to have it.
Right.
And I am doing it anyway.
Neil, if he wants to put one.
In his existing garage, we're not gonna require him to go out and do it.
I'd have to plug it into an internal combustion car. We'll make it.
You can, like our neighbors is outside their garage. It's
Right, it
outside.
doesn't-
have to be.
Yeah.
inside the garage.
So both of those will be addressed into the code.
Okay.
So which two people?
If you're building, it has to be up to code, but if you don't, here's what you can do instead.
All right, so I've got two people who would like for this to do as a standalone. I haven't heard from the additional three of you. Karen, Emerson, David, do you have preferences?
I'm okay with standalone, but I would rather concentrate on businesses and impose the burden upon businesses. I like the county's 30 parking spaces, and there should be a certain number. I don't know if 30 is the right number, or 30 parking spaces is the right number to mandate at least one EV charging station, but I think that to me is a prime opportunity in Webster Groves, and I would leave the individual homeowners alone. So to answer your question, I'm okay with going, doing this doing this, as a standalone. But I would rather see, us concentrate on the business aspect of the regulations.
I don't have a problem with standalone. I just don't want all of a sudden we do it, then all of a sudden you have to go back and do something else. That's want it to be complete. Yeah.
Okay. So.
I don't have a problem standing.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that we may proceed with this regulation, and I think because of the consensus, it would be both business and residential. I know some of you have preferences about which one of those. And so the question is what comes next? Do the two of you want to work up some sort of recommendation for us that we do informally in work session? Do we want an actual red line of a bill? What are you all most comfortable with next?
I would prefer just to have a red line
Okay,
of a bill and then council can send us back in or we can discuss it further, but I
So,
think having the.
then
red
I'm
line-
gonna suggest this. I know there are a few of you who have very strong opinions about how some of this is done. And if you have those opinions, I'd like for you to try and write them down and send them in to Dr. Peoples and to Elliot so that they're not flying blind on some of these things.
You know, one part of this conversation that we didn't address, and I'm not sure if this is an apropos time, but like, it seems to me that we should also be discussing whether the city should be installing public use EV charging stations around Webster Groves.
Yeah, I kind of heard that at the beginning of the slide, though we didn't really talk about
I
it.
didn't bring that up because it wasn't part of the discussion.
Well, and keep in mind, we applied for a big EV charging
Yeah.
grant that we didn't get, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's off the table, but it is. I mean, we can have that discussion, I think, in conjunction with that, but
Yeah.
to be honest, I think with this council, that's largely about funding.
Yeah.
I think it was something in Ellie's presentation about EV charging stations in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a brief mention. It's something that is discussed in places. I didn't want to, again, get too far into it, but that is.
I don't want to get into that at all.
I feel so, no, I'm gonna stop us because we are so down the rabbit hole in terms of the specifics of this. And so if you have some ideas about what you want in there, because frankly, it'll be a lot easier if Elliot drafts something and the majority of council doesn't like it to take it out than it will be to try to on the spot put something new in. So let's do that. I am going to take a moment and suggest, Scott, that since we already have the stormwater on the regular agenda, that we do the presentation during the regular agenda, or will you not be able to stay for that?
I can stay, yes, it's not loaded up over there.
I'm sorry to do that, but I mean, I think we all know that we have all these people here for proclamations, unless we really think, how about this? We're gonna do Scott's presentation. Any questions you have for him, let's hold until the regular meeting.
Okay.
Will that work?
Perfect.
Okay.
I love flash that. Hey,
You'll get your shot at it. That's not until the regular meeting.
Real quick primer, it's on the agenda tonight, first and second reading, to add a stormwater commission to the city's code. The purpose of that is to provide expert advice to city staff and the city in the form of our residents. Won't read every word for you guys. The background on this, the city has a stormwater management plan that we produced. We shared that with you guys in March of 2025. There's 102 projects of $46 million. So we need to figure out how we're going to implement those, how we're going to phase those, how we're going to pay for those. And the Stormwater Commission would be the experts that would help us to do that. Membership. This is all up for debate. If y'all want more or less, you can make amendments on the language as you're reading them tonight. I picked 5 with 2 alternates. I wasn't sure how many local folks we had that would want to join us, that would have the professional certifications and knowledge that we're looking for. So I didn't want to build a 9-person commission and maybe not be able to fill it. We want more, we obviously can do that. But we're looking for folks that, you know, landscape architects, engineers, people of that nature that have high knowledge. I think I skipped a slide. The duties, first of all, would be basically to, you know, help us prioritize the projects, to review projects, to score projects with staff, or staff score them and then give them to the commissioners for them to look them over, agree, disagree, move things up on the flow chart. I did skip. Membership is what I already talked about. And thank you.
That is a world record.
Don't think I can do it too good.
All right, so I think that we'll do, yeah, I know a few of us do have a couple questions. We will do that. So if we could convene right at 7:30, we'll go through our time to be in lots of pictures. And Elliot, you escaped so quickly, I forgot to say thank you. So thank you very much for that.
Elliot.
And thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
All right, we will reconvene in the other room in just a couple minutes. All right, thank you very much. Welcome to our July 15th City Council meeting. Thank you all for being here. We have so many things to celebrate tonight. It's a very exciting night for us. I know we have some of our restaurateurs in the room, some of our athletes, some people who work in parks and recreation. So thanks for coming to celebrate with us. And then we have to go back to some other business, but at least we're going to have a lot of fun first. We'll start with the call. Oh, no, I need to do my introduction. So if we're happy that you're all here, we're going to have a time for community comments. And if you'd like to make a comment over by the door, there's a small index card. If you put your name and address there and submit it to Karen, our assistant city clerk here at the end of the dais, we'll call on you at the appropriate time for 3 minutes of comments. If you are online, and you would like to make a comment at that time, we'd ask you to use your raise your hand function, and then we will unmute you and you'll have a chance also for 3 minutes to make your public comment. But as I said, we've got lots of celebrations and proclamations first. Before we do any of that, we're going to have the call of the roll.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Arnold.
Here.
Councilmember Bliss is absent. Councilmember Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Alexander.
Here.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer.
Here.
Okay, we're going to see if we can do this all in order. We're going to start with a proclamation when recognition of the Green Dining Program. And so I'm going to ask all of you who are here, who have restaurants, who are part of the Green Dining Alliance, to meet me right down here, along with Sean, please. And we'll do some reading of proclamations and take some pictures. Each organization has one, so I'll give you those. I can get the rest of them out. So I have to use the microphone. So I'll come over here as if I'm giving some testimony. This is really happy that you all could be here, as I said. So I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation, which I think does explain a little bit about what the Green Dining Alliance is, but we can go back to that if we need to. So, whereas sustainability is a priority for Webster Groves, reflecting our commitment to environmental stewardship and a healthy community, and the Green Dining Alliance is a respected program that encourages local restaurants to adopt environmentally responsible practices, including waste reduction, energy conservation, and sustainable sourcing. And whereas the following local restaurants in Webster Groves have achieved Green Dining Alliance certification, demonstrating outstanding dedication to sustainable operations and serving as role models for the community: Bagel Union, Balkan Treat Box, Beignet All Day, Big Sky Cafe, Bijou Handcrafted Chocolates, Madrina, Maypop Coffee and Garden Shop, Olive and Oak, Robust Bistro and Wine Bar, and Telva at the Ridge. And whereas due to the exceptional commitment of these certified establishments, the City of Webster Groves has earned the distinguished designation as the fifth Green Dining District in Greater St. Louis by the Green Dining Alliance. Whereas this recognition highlights the collective efforts of our local businesses, city officials, and community members to foster a culture of sustainability and environmental responsibility. Now, therefore, I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of the City of Webster Groves, on behalf of the entire City Council, commend and celebrate all restaurants that have earned a Green Dining Alliance certification and proudly acknowledge Webster Groves as the region's 5th Green Dining District, and do hereby proclaim July 14th through 20th, 2025 as Webster Groves Green Dining Week, reaffirming our commitment to environmental stewardship and sustainable community development. Thank you for your patience. We're gonna get a picture taken. Council, do you want to come for the picture or are you gonna stay back there? And is there anyone who didn't get a proclamation? I just kept one to read. Anyone want a second? Okay.
All right. You can't see me, I can't see you. All right, here we go. Everybody looking right here. I gotta do it all. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful spot.
All right. Thank you. Yes, council, just hang around. You're gonna have another choice. All right, am I right? Parks and Rec month is next. No, what's next? Which one's that? Lady Awards, yes, okay. Council, we already let you sit down. Oh, so. Hey, come on down. All right, and I can help you in any way, or I can go sit down.
I can read them all.
And I'll just see you. Sounds good.
It's up totally up to you. Totally up to you.
I feel obligated to say this. All those of you who came on behalf of restaurants, I know you rarely get a night off, so if you would like to go ahead and move on, please feel free. But if you want to hang around for the other proclamations and then go, it won't hurt our feelings.
All right, I'm going to be presenting our 2025 Webster Groves Community Days Parade Award winners. We have 7 different categories. We had 56 floats this year entered in. So all of the winners recognized by our judges, we emailed and quite a few of them came out today. So I'm going to go through and acknowledge the winners. Our 2025 Webster Groves Community Days Parade acknowledges that veterans of the Battle of the Bulge has been recognized for best civic entry. You guys want to come on down?
Come on right here. We're gonna get our picture taken, if that's okay with you. One, two, three. Awesome. Thank you.
And our next winner, Webster Groves Community Days Parade acknowledges the Webster Groves High School Athletic Department and / Webster Groves High School Booster Club. So if you all could come on down, they will. They will also be accepting the award for Webster Groves High School cheer team, recognized for best performing entry.
Tell them that I said so. How about that?
There you go. We definitely want to.
Here, scoot on over this way a little bit.
One, two.
Our next award recognizes St. Louis Corvette Club, has been recognized for Best Classical Entry.
One.
Our next award recognizes the Hudson Hype Bucket Drummers for Best Children's Entry. And our last award tonight, before I'll say a big thank you to Tire for our parade sponsorship, and they also won, has been recognized for Best Commercial Entry. And that's all I have.
All right, I'm just going to turn the microphone around and stay down here. I would invite all of the Parks and Recreation staff who have with us for recognition of Parks and Rec Month. And I want to say, I love the no, come on down. I can talk while you're moving. I love the confluence of having some of our athletes here, having our parade awards, because these are the people who really help make not only the 4th of July happen, but also provide opportunities for all our young athletes in the parks and at the recreation center. So, all right, I want to look at you good folks when I read this. So, all right, make sure I have the right one. I do. Yes. Good. All right. Whereas Webster Groves, Missouri values its park system and considers parks and recreation as an essential component of our city's identity as a vibrant place to live, work, and play. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes health and wellness and a connection to nature, which positively impacts and improves the physical and mental health of a community, and the Parks and Recreation programming and education activities, such as summer camps, youth sports, and environmental education, are critical to childhood development. And whereas parks are essential to the environmental and ecological well-being and sustainability of our community because it is an adaptable living infrastructure that makes our communities resilient in the face of natural disasters and climate change. The park system increases our community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation Department provides places for children and adults to connect with nature and encourage physical activities through its 21 parks totaling over 120 acres with space for popular sports, trails, playgrounds, the Benny Gordon Recreation Complex that features an aquatic park, ice rink, fitness center, and classes, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas the City of Webster Groves recognizes the benefits derived from its parks and recreation resources and activities, and thanks the more than 125 employees of the Parks and Recreation Department for their service to our residents. Now, therefore, I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of Webster Groves, and the entire City Council wish to designate July 2025 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Webster Groves.
Mayor, you want?
Oh, that's fine.
The answer is yes, come on. We're gonna go behind you again, yeah, because you all again are blood people in the picture. Oh my God, no. That would be it's something I would think about. So.
Alright, so we got it. Here we go. 1, 2. 3.
All right. Okay. Why don't yeah, I need to say about like that. All right, thank you all for coming tonight. I know most of you worked all day. Which can we? All right, I'm going to invite the members of West Coast High School basketball team forward first. And congratulations. Took us a little while to get you. You know, I'm going to turn around again so I can read this. Think about your achievements of the year. All right. Whereas Webster Groves, Missouri values education as an essential component of our city's identity, and the Webster Groves High School statesmen have a long tradition of extracurricular activities that enhance students' educational experiences. And whereas the 2024-25 boys varsity basketball team won the Missouri State High School Activities Association's Class 5 state championship on March 20th, 25. The sixth, yeah, that's appropriate. The 6th overall varsity boys basketball team championship. And whereas during the regular season, the Statesmen went undefeated in conference play and once again won the Suburban Conference Yellow Division. After defeating local rival Vianney for the district title and Sykeston in a 1-point quarterfinal game, the team met Summit Christian Academy in the state final. The Statesmen prevailed with 4 players scoring in double figures and by sealing the win with a 9-point fourth quarter run. Always appreciate a good finish. In addition to the title, player Scotty Atkinson was awarded Missouri's Gatorade Player of the Year. The team also holds a playoff record of 6-0 for their championship appearances. Whereas the 2024 team represented true statesman spirit through personal growth, teamwork, leadership, resilience, and tenacity throughout the season. Webster Groves statesmen alumni and their coaching staff leave a legacy of leadership, teamwork, and community spirit. The boys varsity basketball team are no exception. They gave their all and built a team through hard work together. They embody the community spirit, teamwork, and leadership that makes Webster Groves a vibrant city to live, learn, and play. Now, therefore, I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of the City of Webster Groves, and the entire City Council congratulate the 2024-25 boys varsity basketball team and look forward to the great things you have as individuals. No, sorry, the great things, I can't read through the microphone. The great things you as individuals will do in your lives as statesmen alum. And hereby proclaim Friday, July 18th, 2025 as Webster Groves High School Boys Varsity Basketball Team Day in the city of Webster Groves. I know you do. You're gonna get all. All right. And does all the council know what TTW means? No. Thank you. There we go. All right. Hey, toughest team wins. All right. You guys have to shift this way or press Q. Yeah, you all.
See you, right?
Okay.
All right. 1, 2.
All right. Okay, last but never least, track and field. Guys, come on forward. Got really quiet in here. Okay, I'm going to do this one, but I'm going to skip the first paragraph because it's the same as the last one. And You've heard a lot of whereases tonight, I think, already. All right. So whereas the 2024-25 Webster Groves High School boys track and field team won the Missouri State High School Activities Association Class 4 State Championship on May 31st, 2025, a feat not accomplished since 1931. We're going to stop and applaud. Whereas the Statesman track and field team scored a total of 52 points overall and the team scored team points in the 800 meter, 1600, 1300, and 4x800 meter relay, as well as set new school records in those events. And whereas the Statesman also claimed 3 state champion titles, Colton Richardson won a very close 800 meter race, Corbin Cole won the 32 meter race with a Superman dive into a photo finish. Henry Bolin, Joe Wetzel Meehan, Dominic Buckman, and Colton Richardson won the 4x800 relay by more than 8 seconds. I'm going to applaud that too, because that's a huge amount of time. Whereas Webster Groves Statesman alumni and their coaching staff leave a legacy of leadership, teamwork, and community spirit. The 2024-25 Statesman track and field team are no exception. They gave their all and embodied the community spirit, teamwork, and leadership that makes Webster Groves a vibrant city to live, learn, and play. Now, therefore, I, Laura Arnold, Mayor of Webster Groves, and the entire City Council congratulate the Webster Groves High School Statesman track and field team for the Missouri Class 4 State Championship. We look forward to the great things you as individuals will do in your lives as Statesman alum, and hereby do proclaim Friday, July 25th, as Webster Groves High School Statesman Track and Field Team Day in the city of Webster Groves. So both the guys, the basketball players and the track athletes, remember your sign will be out there on that day, so come get your picture taken. You want to show it to somebody to show off at some point. So we are happy that you all joined us. We would love for you to stay, but we also understand that if there are things you might like to do with your evening other than hang out with us, that's okay. Okay. I didn't forget any, right? We've done them all. It's fun though for that recognition. Thank you, gentlemen. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. Now is our time for remarks from the community and visitors. I have one speaker card here in the room from Mr. Steve Nixon. If you would come forward to the microphone, let us know what your name is, and then once you begin, we'll start the 3 minutes. Well played, sir. Well played.
So my name's Steve Nixon, and I live on Girard Drive, Kenrick Knowles, which I just found out by looking at the Webster map that's what we were called. I didn't know that all these years. Been there for 30 years. I'm the I'm not going to say the head. I'm an unwilling head of the group on our street to try to assume the responsibility for the maintenance on our islands, which we have 6 of them. And we had almost 100% of our folks that decided that it was a good idea for us to do that versus having the pocket prairies. Mm-hmm. And all of them actually asked me to say thanks to the mayor and all those that have been involved in giving us a chance to actually move, in that direction. The one thing that we did, I've collected our signatures and so forth, but several of our members, after reviewing the agreement language that we have been provided by the city, had some concerns. Mostly, I mean, some of it was serious, some of it was, okay, well, what if kind of thing, which you can go a long way with that. But I also had some concerns, and we actually were able to reach out to our neighbors, the Webster Gardens, and they have submitted apparently a revised agreement, which they took pretty much the same concerns that we had and kind of, played them up. I think they have like four lawyers in their block. So, unfortunately for us, we only have one guy that hasn't taken the bar yet. But in reading theirs, it looks very acceptable and pretty much covers all the concerns that our folks had. The only thing that we had outstanding is we don't know where that stands and whether that's an accepted agreement that the city will, recognize, or, do we need to do something different? And the big thing is that we only have like 15 days left to figure this out. So I'm just asking if we could have some response that says, hey, it's okay and you can use it as well, or we've thrown it out, or our lawyers are chewing on it too. So just let us know.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Nixon. Normally, we don't do a response, but this just came up in our work session. And so I think it's fair to say that we can have a staff member follow up with you about the status of this. And so we have all your contact information now, and they'll give you an update on everything that you're asking about.
I hate to be a thorn, but, because I know you guys are probably absolutely tired of that subject, but.
Well, we'd rather get it right.
Yeah, and, with the deadline on the 31st, we'd love to have our stuff in and get approval.
Yes,
So,
thank
okay.
you.
So thank you.
So I'm going to pass this down, but we want to make sure that contact information gets to Dr. Peoples and to Scott. All right, we do see one hand raised for public comment online, and Deanna is the first name. We're going to push the allow to talk. Deanna Smith. I believe that you should be able to speak at this time. And again, I know there's a name on the screen, but if you give your name, we can move forward with your comment.
Yes, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
We can.
Wonderful. My name is Dina Smith, and I live on Clark Avenue in Tuxedo Park, and I've lived here for 20 years. And I have raised a concern to City Hall, but my concern is really remaining, and that's why I'm here at this meeting. And essentially, my neighbors and I are worried about the maintenance of an area on Marshall Avenue between East Glen Road and Glen Road. It's the area under the overpass for the railroad. It is just down the street from Avery Elementary. And this area under the underpass, it has, of course, the sidewalk, and then it's got an area between the sidewalk and the street that up until the last year or so, that area between where the grass grows had been maintained by Webster Groves. In the last year, though, for some reason, one side of the road is not being mowed, and it has actually become kind of dangerous due to tall weeds. It's hard to see cars when you're at the intersection, and really most concerning to me, it's hard to see kids that want to cross the street there. And that's my biggest fear, that kids crossing there headed to school or what have you are not going to be seen by drivers. In fact, last year, the weeds got so tall, it was hard to see the stop sign at the intersection. So I called many times last summer, and finally it was mowed. But by the time it was mowed, it had been so neglected, it was full of litter. People were just kind of treating it like the side of a highway. So it's just two little strips of land between the sidewalk and the road. For some reason, the north side gets mowed regularly and the south side does not. And so, and then of course the weeds are growing into the sidewalk. There's no way to push a stroller through it, etc. One of my neighbors almost got into a car accident because the other car could not see her due to the tall weeds at the intersection. So anyway, I called again several times this year and heard back directly from the grounds manager. I apologize if that's not his title. And he attempted to say that this was railroad property. Again, I find this confusing because the other side of the street would be considered railroad property too, if this one is, because they're both in the underpass. And that side actually gets mowed by Webster Groves. But to their credit, the grounds manager, when I spoke to him several weeks ago, did mow the side of the street that was of concern to me. It was clearly a hazard. And he said he would keep an eye on the area, but I have not seen them come back and the weeds are growing in height again. So I don't know, in 20 years, it's always been maintained by the city. If the railroad owns the property, I assume the city has an easement underneath to cut the grass for safety.
Yeah, I'm sorry, your time is up for public comment, and I appreciate this, and we will follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online who would like to raise their hand for a public comment? All right, seeing none, we will then proceed, and I will ask if anyone has any new business. All right, our new business on the agenda then, Councilmember Hasselmeyer, can you call for the first and second reading of Bill number 9284, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the first and second reading of Bill number
9284.
Second.
Bill 9284, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Webster Groves, Missouri, amending Chapter 4, Boards and Commissions, by adding a new section, Article 22, Stormwater Management Advisory Commission, as referenced in the attached Exhibit A.
All right, I know some people had some questions. Mr. Davis, if you want to come on down, go ahead.
Sure, I can jump in. I didn't know, I know in some conversations, this is a commission that probably doesn't need a council liaison to it, similar to Board of Adjustments or like the HR, the personnel board. Is that still the thinking, is we wouldn't need a council liaison?
I think that would be up to you all to decide whether you would like to have a liaison that could bring back and share that information.
And
Go either way.
there would be a staff liaison,
Yes.
right? And do we know like who that would be, or like what department that would be represented?
It will be the other DCM.
It will be the other
Yes.
DCM. Okay. And then what is the mechanisms, or maybe we don't know yet, for getting recommendations out of the commission and to council for whatever we need to vote on? Will that come?
Same as other commissions, forward them through. Yes. So
Okay.
we'll still have to devise some of those
Yeah.
with the roles of the commission, but we'll be using the same city formats that we have through the other boards and commissions. This slots into the same boards and commissions section of city code and ordinances that all the other commissions live out of.
Do we think that this will be a similar time commitment to our existing commissions, like about a meeting a month? Or is it more like the crab where it's only on for a year and then it's done?
I would think at the beginning, at least once a month would be ideal as we work through the initial phase of scoring all of our projects or looking at all of our projects that are in the Stormwater Master Plan and determining where those fall in priority funding and in priority needs. Of course, staff will be doing a lot of that ranking too. As we get more developed through that process, 18 months, 2 years down the road, then maybe we can shorten that up and go every other month or something like that.
Okay.
Or as needed.
And then looking for people who have expertise. I think we probably have people existing on commissions now that have some of that. is there a problem with somebody doing, like, if someone was on plan and they wanted to be on stormwater, could they be on both, or would we want them to choose, or maybe that's a council decision too?
I don't think that the current ordinances preclude that from happening, that you can serve on multiple. I'm not sure that's the
Or is it
norm.
like double the
Yeah,
time
it's,
commitments?
yeah, it's double the time commitment. So maybe if there's someone who really wants to do one or the other, they could jump ship and come over to Stormwater Commission if they would rather do that than sustainability, green space, wherever else they might be, and then we could backfill that other commission too.
Mhm.
I'd hate to double up people too much.
Yeah, and you also hate to pull people, make
Right.
voids in other commissions, but yeah. I think those are my questions. Thank you.
Other questions?
Are we eliminating any boards or commissions?
Not with this, no.
It just, because the one thing that I keep hearing is that we keep putting a lot more burden on our staff. And now we're gonna have another commission. So I just want to know exactly who's gonna be manning this commission.
It'll be the other deputy city manager that's coming on board. That position is kind of overall on our sustainability SS4A, stormwater, things of that nature.
I guess I'm not too sure I understand the purpose of the commission.
It's really to get citizen feedback and provide additional expertise from those in the field on what projects are the highest priority. Of course, some of that will be based on funding. You know, if we got a grant available that'll do matching funds, we would take that over some of the other ones. But we have a lot of stormwater requests outside of the master plan that we've done. That staff is going out and visiting with residents about individual properties or neighborhoods in general. So to have some additional expertise and other constituents looking at those to develop where those priorities would be. Should we slot this in? If it addresses 2 parcels, should we slot this in? If it addresses 10 parcels, does it go up higher? So to get some of that feedback, public input, and also then to share that information back out to their residents and their neighbors.
Can you hold on a minute? I think Dr. Peoples wants to jump in here.
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor. And at the risk of repeating anything that Mr. Davis has shared, believe me, I did not necessarily want to recommend another commission. And, Mr. Davis and I had several conversations about it. I do think another commission is needed. However, the stormwater management is fairly new for us, as I believe we had $46 million worth of projects. INL and Director Alpsland came up with a priority list. But even since we've had that priority list, we've had additional storms and we've had additional priorities inserted in there. We do need, I do believe, to have some of that expert feedback along with residents' feedback. My vision for this is that it would operate very similar to a BOA, that there would not be a council liaison on that for many of the same reasons as the Board of Adjustment, because ultimately there's going to be additional funding requests. Those are going to come to council.
Is, forget what I was gonna, are we looking, so will this commission, is the plan to also work in conjunction with MSD and our surrounding municipalities to collaborate on water, stormwater mitigation as well?
That is part of, yeah, that's part of the ranking and of the master plan. What we can do with MSD, what we can do with other grant funds, and best management on those, where those priorities would slot in.
Gotcha. And who are the members of this commission going to be all Webster citizens, or is it going to be open to the expertise? And are they going to be paid, or is the idea is that it's still volunteer?
Volunteer. I did write it, Webster Groves residents preferred, but not required. I would assume that we would have enough expertise in our community to be able to fill 5 spots with 2 alternates, but in the slim chance that we don't, either as a resident or a resident business of ours, then I left it open-ended that we could seek outside help.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question? How do you right now envision putting the word out and getting some folks who have some expertise in this field to come on board?
We'll advertise it everywhere, put on our socials, on our Friday pages. All the people watching there from home or that watch it on YouTube, we'll blast that word out in all of our media packages.
It will probably also take us as council members, if we know people in these fields, to personally reach out and explain why we need this.
Yeah. Is that something that we could also share with all the other boards and commissions?
Oh, absolutely.
Say,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, if you know folks, yeah.
And in terms of the process, council could handle it like we did the charter review advisory board process, have the interview. Not suggesting that that has to be the way, but I suspect there will be a lot of interest in serving on this commission. I think you'll have plenty of applicants to consider.
Other questions? Most of mine have been covered. I do have one kind of technical question. Who's the governing body?
You are.
That's what I thought. And all our, I believe our other, in our ordinances before, we just go ahead and name city council. I was wondering if there's a reason that it's governing body instead of city council.
First time writing one of these for you.
Well, you did an excellent job, by the way. And I just wondered if there was, a movement afoot about changing our form of government that I didn't know about.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good, good.
If there was a movement, we couldn't tell you.
You couldn't tell us, right, okay.
Governing
All
body
right.
sounds sort of
Where
odd.
does that actually say? Oh, there it is. Government.
It
What about a
does
governing body?
just a little bit. Okay, any other questions? All right, then let's go ahead and have the second reading, please.
Bill 9284, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Webster Groves, Missouri, amending Chapter 4, Boards and Commissions by adding a new section, Article 22, Stormwater Management Advisory Commission, as referenced in the attached Exhibit A.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So again, we'll reconsider this at our next, or we'll have the third reading at our next meeting. Is there anything anyone would like to remove from the consent agenda?
I don't want to remove anything. I do want to talk about resolution number, oh God, it was on the East Central ECDC. Yeah. Thank you. It doesn't seem like much has changed at ECDC yet, and we're about to pay them $542,000, almost $543,000. If you could, Dr. Peoples, could you share what, I mean, the website looks better. I'll give them that. The website looks better. They have their meeting minutes up to date. It seems like you could join remotely now, so at least the public is aware. But do you have any status update as to where we stand on any of the changes that they indicated they were going to make?
So Councilman Franklin, thank you for the question. Those things are progressing extremely slowly. I believe that Councilman Smith and perhaps a couple of others were going to call for a closed session to discuss some of those items. However, directly to your answer or to your question, which certainly is not a closed session item, I know that we have voted as a body to contract for an audit of sorts to help audit operations. The timeline on that, though, is not going to be satisfactory. I mean, those things are going to take months to get answers on, so there are not going to be quick resolutions to this.
Has this city started looking at alternatives to ECDC in the event we were to vote to remove ourselves from the group?
Yes, we have looked at alternatives on and off for the last couple of years. You may recall that we have a very specific quote from the other fire dispatch agency. So we do have an alternative that we can shift to. The issue is funding, and the other issue, of course, and safety, goes without saying, safety comes before the funding aspects. But the issue is, do we actually want to separate police and fire? And we were under the impression for several years now that we could not do that. As council knows, we have learned over the last couple of months that we can indeed, per the bylaws, separate police and fire. So the conversation has changed.
Has, the last time the ECDC execs were here, a representative from the county executive's office was here. Did they ever follow up with the city or ECDC? Do you know?
Not with the city. I cannot speak to, did they follow up with ECDC?
Well, I know that we don't have any alternatives right now, but and we'll get an update from ECDC eventually, but it's just disheartening to hear that despite our advocacy for a better ECDC, it doesn't seem like much has changed. And I really am frustrated with our other colleagues or other cities, municipalities in the ECDC that they don't see a concern that their rising costs and that their fire dispatch incidences are not being either relayed to them or they're ignoring them. So that's concerning to me.
And with this agreement here, so does how long are they annual?
It is an annual agreement based on calls for service. So we've already committed to joining for the year. The bylaws do say we have to give notice of exit. I believe it's 45 to 60 days ahead of the fiscal year. However, I would like to discuss some of those options in closed.
And we will have the director of ECTC back with us in October. Is that correct?
He is scheduled and confirmed to be back on October 7th.
So that's the 6 months that we allowed before the follow-up report. So I do think we have to have some additional discussion. And I do think we as a council have to have lots of questions ready to go for this. And just so you all know, I have been meeting with mayors of other cities and have continued to raise this. And I do not see a sense of urgency from them at this time either.
I didn't hear the question, apologies. Not as near as high as us. The highest two, it's Richmond Heights, Webster, and then Clayton. Mhm.
Which is crazy that Clayton's not part of the county fire. So they're right.
The county seat.
But, anyway.
All right,
I have a question.
please.
Before we move on, I noticed in the consent agenda, there's a lot of, there are a couple of software purchases that are being made. And I'm curious about the software that tracks the tree inventory and what the status is on that. If I understand correctly, there's it's something that we've had in the past and we just need to renew.
That's the resolution I'm speaking.
It's not on here. It's there's a lot
Sorry.
of software renewing. She's up one that we.
Yeah.
Each of the softwares that are on here were previous budget discussions, and so they are on here, I believe. You want to come talk about tree inventory?
That tree inventory is currently out of date, and so we need to get the tree inventory updated before we would start paying for that service on trees. Not Tree City USA. Tree Keeper, thank you. It took me a minute. So once we get that inventory completed and move forward on that, then we'll have that software package up and running that tracks all those trees again.
Okay, and is that underway currently?
It is not yet.
Okay.
Are
Is
we
there,
at risk of losing any data during this lapse in licensing?
The license has been lapsed for quite some time. So if we are at risk, that's a conversation that has passed. The data is still there. There are large gaps in the data over a series of years. Those are things that we've been trying to piecemeal together. I think there's a misunderstanding about what it really means to update the tree inventory. And we have had lots of internal discussions about that and what's the best route to go. And is it trying to figure out some type of consultant to contract it out? Because it's beyond it. We're really talking about counting trees within each of our parks, within each of the right of ways, but going beyond that. And do we do some type of geocoding so that we know that this tree here has been inventoried, the tree care has been done, it's been trimmed? That's thousands of trees. And so we've really talked about what is the best way to go about doing that, because we want to do it right. We don't want to piecemeal it and have staff do 10 trees as they work it into their schedule once a week. So we're trying to come up with a meaningful plan. That meaningful plan will be costly. There may also be other inventories available. So, Mr. Davis?
I think you hit it.
well, I won't belabor it, but I just think being very rich in trees, And then seeing what happened in Forest Park, God forbid anything like that ever happened to Webster Groves. But it is going to be critical to understand we cannot manage what we haven't measured. So I think it's really important that we have that discussion soon. Thanks.
All right. Councilmember Alexander, would you call for the approval of the consent agenda, please?
Second.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassemeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yes. All right, we have made one appointment this evening to Board or Commission, and that is Betty Bayer to the Crossroads Business Development Commission. And we will have a closed session. Councilmember Franklin, could you call for that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for an executive closed session pursuant to attorney-client privilege communications in Missouri Section 610.021, subsection 1, and also personnel Missouri statute section 610.021, subsection 3.
Can we add number 4?
Excuse me?
Number 4.
Number 4.
And number 4, negotiating contracts, Missouri statute section 610.021, subsection 12.
Second.
Councilmember Franklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Hassemeyer,
Yes.
Mayor Arnold.
Yes. All right, that concludes our the open session part of our meeting. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to all the staff members who are here tonight as well.